Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn. And joining me today is my co-host Brushy to talk about a very, very mixed afternoon at Goodison Park. It was heading towards a 4-0 loss, but somehow United rescued a 2-each draw and a bit of controversy in there as well. So it was an eventful last trip to Goodison for Man United, Brush.
Yeah, to say the least. Especially the reunion with Moyes as well. At his main club that he loves. Yeah, we always knew this one was going to be a difficult one.
And a reunion with Ashley Young as well, which we'll certainly get into later in the show.
Ah,
Um, so it was an absolute calamity at the back for United for those two goals at the start of the game. There's like head tennis in United's penalty area, and United couldn't get it clear. It was a shambles, and I think Bato scored in the end. And Decore getting the second goal, another mess at the back from United. And it just looked like it was heading towards the defeat that we all thought it was going to be. And for 70 minutes, United were absolutely atrocious. But the manager made some decent substitutions in the second half. Cheeto Obi coming on for Hoyland, who once again had an anonymous afternoon. And of course, Garnacho came on. I think it was for Casemiro. Casemiro didn't have a good day. And then I think Lenny Yarrow come on as well at the same time as Cheeto Obi. But yeah, I thought United only started to play once Bruno scored that free kick. Of course, initially he had a free kick further out, and then it was a handball. I think it was Decore. Should have got booked for that. And then we moved closer in, and then he scored. Can you believe it? Bruno Fernandes scored from a free kick. How
yeah,
long have we been waiting for that? I just looked it up there in the Premier League. Anyway, it was the 1920 season was the last time he scored a free kick in the Premier League, I believe, for Man United. And
madness. And what a finish it was as well. Quality finish.
yeah, it was so unexpected, and it came at just the right time for United, a real captain's goal to get us back in the game. And all of a sudden, we began to dominate. They just got such confidence from that. Ugarte then scored a wonderful goal of his own with a lovely control at the edge of the box, and then left-footed, half volley
Oh,
that just
who knew he had that in his locker? I was pleasantly surprised.
yeah, it was fantastic. And then he had Xerxes dribbling his way past by four or five Everton players. All of a sudden, we're on the front foot, and just the final ball was letting us down. At some point,
Yeah,
towards the end of the game, I was starting to believe United were going to get a winner here because we were by far the better team at that stage. Everton were on the ropes, but our final ball was lacking, and we just couldn't create that opportunity to get the third goal. Although Bruno did have another effort from the edge of the area, which was central, and Pickford tipped it over. But then in stoppage time, Ashley Young. This has created so much debate in the last 48 hours. But here's what my take on it. I think that Ashley Young is Swan dive done Everton out of a penalty there. I think it probably was a penalty because Delict has a good tug out of shirt.
I
But
think there was actually contact, but I think it was minimal contact, and he's weighed way more of it than what it should have been. So you're right, absolutely right. If he doesn't swan dive, I think there's a chance it gets given as a pen, but I think he overdid it.
we've seen him do this at Old Trafford at least a dozen times, and it was
Absolutely, he goes down like he got shot.
and you know it's funny that it was 10 years ago when he was doing it for United. He was the public enemy number one. It was in the papers. It was on Sky Talks about every week about what a diver he is. Even Alex Ferguson said he was going to talk to him about it. But when he does it for Everton against United, it should be a penalty. That's an absolute disgrace that VAR intervened
Yeah,
there. It's funny that. But yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I can understand both points of view. He, do you know what the problem was? The referee was called to the screen, but he was only showing one angle.
hmm
But he wasn't showing the angle where you can clearly see Delict have a tug at his shirt.
yeah.
Cle- Obviously, that wasn't enough to warrant the flamboyant dive. But I think it was Dermot Gallagher was on this morning saying that he thought that VAR shouldn't have intervened. It should have been a penalty. Yeah, and then Maguire had a wee nibble at him as well. So it's a difficult one. If you're Everton, you want a penalty kick. If you're United, you're saying dive.
That's a
So
dive, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you can cut it down from both ways, can't you? But yeah, like I say, I think he's just he's made way more of it than what it should have been. And like you say, had he just gone down normally, I do think there was contact, and it could have gone either way.
yeah. If he was able to perfect the dive in the way that
Hmm.
Ronaldo has, doing a dive without making it look like one, but that was just too obvious. It was
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
so it
I
was.
think when you look at the time on the clock as well, it was a last ditch attempt, wasn't it? I think that's what it was.
But from our point of view, I don't understand why when Onana once again palms it out in front of himself,
Ah, we're gonna have
why.
to come on to him, Carl. He's again, you know, he needs to go in the summer for me.
Yeah, we'll get into more detail about it
Yeah.
later on. But I don't understand why Maguire and Delict don't focus their attention on the ball. Why
Hmm.
are they taking the risk of trying to impede the attacker there rather than
Especially
just.
from there,
Yeah,
like it's too close to goal for you to do that at that stage. If it was outside of the 20-yard box, I can understand.
yeah. If there's every chance they can, one of them can get to the ball before Ashley Young, who's 39. So why is their first instinct is to try and pull a shirt? That's not good defending at all, and it nearly cost us. Uh, God, I was so deflated whenever that penalty was initially given. After the work we put in to get back into the game, and I was just so pissed off, and then relieved once
Yeah.
VAR overturned it. But you've seen all kinds of fans on social media, Everton fans, of course, but Aston Villa fans, Watford fans, Leicester fans, Arsenal fans, all saying, "Oh, this is just bias in favour of Manchester United once again." That is absolute tosh, because
Nah, nah, nah.
the
You have
same
to look at
referee,
yeah, yeah. Go
the
on.
same ref, the same referee refereed our game in the third round of the FA Cup against Arsenal, and we all
Yeah.
remember how abysmal he was that day, and most of the decisions went Arsenal's way.
Mhm.
In fact,
Mhm.
he gave Arsenal a penalty for a dive, like Kai
Yeah.
Havertz, I think it was. So
Yeah. I was just gonna add, Carl. All those fans that you mentioned, they're all very familiar with Ashley Young and his game. This
yeah,
isn't something he's developed all of a sudden. This is something he's done systemically throughout his career.
so in my opinion, I think that if Ashley Young was playing for United against Everton on Saturday and he done that, absolutely nobody in the universe apart from United fans would be saying that
Would
that
be
was a
screaming
penalty.
penalty. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
it's just their hypocrisy. All the
Yep.
ABUs out there that just gets up my goat. But anyway, what did you make of United's fight back then with those two quality goals?
I'll tell you what, the finishes were unbelievable. Especially Ugarte, because I honestly I didn't think he had that in him. So that's nice to see. Bruno, like you say, horrible, horrible stats. The last time he scored from a free kick, it's about bloody time. And thank goodness he did. I don't know what it is about this team, Carl. But yeah, psychologically, once we got one goal back into it, like you say, we then took the momentum um, to them. But why it takes that for us to kick into gear, I don't know. At half time, I was totally dejected. I was dejected last week, to be honest, mate. That's why I didn't want to even do a podcast last week. I thought, I'm just going to take the week off and just go into hibernation because it feels as if there's nothing new to add, really, like from now till the end of the season. Like we're just going around in cycles, aren't we? Just, of the same old. Um, but yeah, the fight back I was very impressed with, and it gives me hope actually. The way which we fought back in that game, it gives me hope that we can do something going forward. But yeah, there's a man in goal who, for me, needs to go in the summer. I just don't know what else to do with him, like because he's too much of a liability. There was one or two good saves he made as well, so I do want to highlight that. But the mistakes, they all end up costing us ultimately. For that first goal as well, it's not just him. Like for the first goal, the defense absolute calamity. I don't know what they're doing. Ping pong at the back there, and uh, somewhat fortunate finish as well by Beto. Hit it against the ground, went up in the air, all of that. But yeah, the goalkeeper for me, yeah, as a it's a priority position for me now.
Yeah, too often now he's saving shots and he palms it straight out in front of him, rather than like De Gea would have done, would have pushed the ball out to the side, or out for a corner or a throw in or whatever. You don't push it out in front of yourself, because that's just going to you're putting your defense under pressure. And more times than not, it's the attacker's going to score a rebound, and it's just
Definitely.
I'm not part of the goalkeepers union. I'm not. I've never been a goalkeeper, but I
Hmm.
know that rule number one is that you not push the ball out in front of yourself. You just
Yeah,
do not do that, and he does it in every single game.
he does it all the
Um,
time. Yeah.
and even with the Beto goal, I've seen him do that type of attempt at saving a shot all the time. Well, it's not much of an attempt really, where he just
Hmm.
stands still with his hand in the air.
Yeah.
Whereas De Gea ha- is able to just get his hand on the ball. Onana's hoping that the ball hits his hand, whereas De Gea goes
Hmm.
after the ball with his hand. He just has a better skill set than him. He's just standing there still with your hand in the air, hoping that the ball hits it. It's atrocious goalkeeping.
Yeah, sometimes it just for me it just seems like he's diving for the sake of diving, like with no clue about the bearings, the distance, nothing. It's just to show that he's dived, really.
Yeah, and just doesn't command his area either. He doesn't come out
No.
and when there's a set piece or a free kick or a corner
Yeah.
coming into the 6 yard box for
Hmm.
against us, he
And,
should be
and
coming out and
yeah,
dealing with it.
definitely, especially in lights of all of this, like we see a lot of stuff on social media, especially the comparisons to Dave and whatnot. I do want to put it out there, like I'm not in the camp of wanting Dave back. I do think we need to not rewrite history. Like he was on his way down. We just got it absolutely wrong with the replacement and also the treatment as well of De Gea and the departure. So those are the two things I don't agree with. I know his contract at Fiorentina is running out as well. I've seen one or two things on the timeline where he's a free agent in the summer. But yeah, that's not something that I would explore. And for him as well, the way we treated him at the end, he's well within his rights to just tell us to piss off if we did come calling.
Yeah, I don't really see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there was an interesting interview recently where Thibaut Courtois said that he's a fan of Man United growing up, and
Yes.
he
Yeah, but unfortunately, it was the same time in it that we got De Gea, so he had to move on with his dreams. Yeah.
yeah, De Gea was already at the club, so it
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't really feasible for him to
Yeah.
join. So he had to go elsewhere.
Uh,
But
Unfortunately, he's at the biggest club in the world. But yeah, if he fancied a new challenge, I'd happily take him.
yeah, I was just thinking, if somehow we were able to get him out of Real
Yeah.
Madrid,
Uh-huh.
if let's say Real Madrid, they know they like their shiny new toys. If
Yeah.
they come across a goalkeeper who's the next big thing, and they go, "Ooh, we want him," and all of a sudden Thibaut is surplus to requirements, then
Yeah.
he could be our Van der Sar signing at 32 years old. He could
Yeah,
then,
absolutely, absolutely. And he's got good goalkeeping fundamentals. And the thing is, if you've got good goalkeeping fundamentals, then your 30s is really when you shine.
yeah, he's got all the attributes that I want in a goalkeeper.
Yep.
As you say, the fundamentals. I remember the Champions League final. I think it was 2022, where Vinicius got the winner and a 1-0
Mm,
win for Madrid against
hmm.
Liverpool.
Oh, he was man of the match for me.
Courtois was man of the match. Yeah,
Man of the match for me. Yeah, 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 yeah. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
yeah. So we can dream. We can
Yeah, we
dream.
can
But
absolutely dream. I'll tell you what was really disturbing. Like that, Real Madrid's second goalkeeper is better than ours. Lunin. I saw fair few matches of his last season, and he looked impressive as well.
yeah, did he play the Champions League final? Because I think that Courtois was injured for most of the
I
season.
think,
Um,
yeah, I think he might have done. Yeah, yeah, against Dortmund, he might have been the one that started that. But yeah, Andre Lunin, he looked decent whenever I saw him.
yeah, trust Madrid to have two good goalkeepers and us to have
Yeah,
arguably none. It's
yeah, 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 yeah. And then they had Kepa as well as the third. Again, it's just an unbelievable lineup. Like for all Kepa's faults, if he's your backup, then it's not too bad.
yeah, this is an issue we have to address in the summer, big time. Like Uh,
Yeah.
I know there's been a link with James Trafford as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm. Okay, I've not heard about this one. Well, obviously he's a Manchester boy, isn't he? So yeah, I can understand the links. Obviously he's come from City, but is he still at Burnley? Is he?
Yes, and they kept a ridiculous amount of clean sheets in a row there over
Yeah.
the December to February period. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, because I know that could definitely appeal to the club. The fact that that he would fit like the homegrown quota. English and from the area as well. But yeah, I can't say I've seen too much of him in the Championship, so I can't really comment. When he was in the Premier League, yeah, I did think he was one of these young players that had potential. But it's very hard to judge, isn't it, in a relegation threatened team because you're just conceding all the time.
yeah, I believe under Scott Parker at
Mm,
Burnley,
hmm.
it was kept like 14 clean sheets in a row or something.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Reminded me of Van der Sar in
Yeah,
the 08-09 season.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I'll tell you what, because that's the one thing. Because that Melier at Leeds, he flattered to deceive as well. Because there were certain times when he looked like he had potential, but then other times, the way that he would let goals in, it was insane.
But yeah, my preference would be experience like Courtois
Yeah.
if it was at all possible.
Yeah, yeah. If there was somebody just aging and looking for a new challenge, that would be fantastic. Just come in and steady the ship for a couple of years.
Yeah, or six like Van der Sar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think he actually intended to stay as long as he did. I think it was one of those where he came in and things just flowed.
Yeah, and he said that he didn't intend to be at Fulham as long as he did. That it was meant
Yeah,
to be a stopgap until he found another big club. But
yeah.
he ended up being there for 4 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
because I saw an interview where he sat down with Rio actually, and he was talking about that because he said at the time there was interest actually from United as well, but he had already agreed to Fulham, so it was too late. And then the other club that were interested were Liverpool.
we could have had him for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, he should have been the replacement for Schmeichel.
Yeah, and all that pain of all those substandard goalkeepers, we could have
Yeah,
avoided
yeah,
all that.
like because at the moment it feels like we're in our Fabian Barthez era again.
Uh,
At the moment,
uh, uh, it's worse than that, to be honest.
yeah, 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 yeah. But that's what it
Yeah.
reminds me of. And then I'll tell you what, I was watching the highlights of the weekend. I saw the Chelsea game, and their goalkeeper Philip Jorgensen had a Taibbi moment.
Mm. and
I don't
and
know if you caught that,
what's
where it just went under his arm.
oh yeah, that's horrendous. That's the worst thing that
Yeah,
could happen to a goalkeeper.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and by end of the year, is he the Roy Carroll of this year?
yeah. I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Like he's doing a job filling in, but we all know, like long term, he's not the guy.
Yeah, I don't think so. And Ryan here says Onana is worse than Roy Carroll, and that's saying something. Yes, he certainly
Yeah.
is. Roy Carroll had some good games for United.
I
Yeah,
tell you what, just as you said that though, Carl, flashbacks to that Tottenham game
yeah,
when he's fishing the ball out the back of the net. Thank God
yeah,
VAR wasn't a thing back then, eh?
yeah. I always laughed at the meme of the goal line. Somebody draws a
Yeah, yeah,
big hoop.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
geez. Oh, do you know what? Listen, you just got me thinking now about all the ways in which we tried to replace Schmeichel, Bosnich, Tim Howard. There were so many in between, before we got to Van der Sar.
yeah, those 6 years were turbulent to say the least between the
Yeah,
sticks.
yeah,
But yeah, Roy Carroll had some good games for United. To be fair to him,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, win by end of the year is fit.
mm,
A few weeks ago we were saying we should maybe give him a go. I said absolutely has to happen now
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
yeah, this is just not sustainable. This situation, you can't have a goalkeeper who's just going to keep throwing the ball into the net every week and just cost you
Absolutely.
points.
Yeah. And to think there was a time when we had Victor Valdez as our number two. Like he would be a shoe in right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And
We went
unfortunately for him, he was up against the prime time De Gea, so he didn't really see game time. I think he played
and
like one game in the league.
then on the Solskjaer you had this De Gea Henderson debate, and
Yeah,
now that seemed like an embarrassment of riches. Now
yeah, yeah.
we are really struggling in that area again. Yeah, just really bad business in the transfer market again.
Hmm.
So some promising signs from Patrick Dorgu playing on that left hand side. I thought he was United's best player in the first half, which wouldn't be
Yep.
too hard. But he is showing a lot of. He's got a lot of energy, physicality, yeah, and he's got pace. He just needs to improve his crossing, I would say.
Yeah.
Once he's only a youngster, of course, but once he smooths off the rough edges, hopefully we can see the best of him. But I'm just hoping that he doesn't catch the malaise, though. Isn't it? How often in recent times have we seen it where the best player is often the newest player until he catches the disease,
Mm.
and then he just becomes like the rest of them. But yeah, he's been, without being spectacular, been pretty decent so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In terms of the crossing and that, though, Carl, my thing is with him, he needs to be settled in a position. That's my only concern, really, with the kid. Like, obviously, very raw talent, but he's moved about. If you look at his last 50 games, he's been all over the place. So, in terms of improving things like the crossing and all of that, I think that comes once you're just shoehorned into a position and you're steady there. To build up a bit of experience in that position.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he wasn't playing that position for Lecce,
No,
so
no, they didn't really. Yeah, he didn't play left wing back. He played left back. So I saw like three games of him in total. The one in December, I saw he was playing on the right wing, and then the two most recent games was just before we signed him. He played as a left back. But because at the time Lecce were like fighting relegation and that they've moved up the table slightly now. They held back to back 4-0 defeats. So couldn't really judge him on that.
no. Um, but yeah, I think he's doing pretty well so far, and hopefully he will improve as the season goes on, and then into next season we'll hopefully see an even better version of him. But yeah, the early signs are promising. Um, Xerxes is a really hard player to give an opinion on because, like I said, he can dribble past 4 or 5 players.
Yeah, he has
Yeah,
qualities. He has unique qualities that he brings to the table. It's just unfortunate that goals aren't really one of them. And ultimately, when you're a forward, that is your bread and butter, isn't it? That's what everyone's going to judge you on.
yeah, but I think even Amorim now has said that he doesn't consider Xerxes to be a number 9.
Yeah,
Um,
but the thing is, I don't see him as a 10 either. So he really is, like he says, a 9.5. It's whether we can, fit in a 9.5.
yeah, he's quite a unique skill set. But
Yeah.
I remember he was gliding past players. I think it
Hmm.
was when it was 2 each, and he plays the ball to Garnacho. Garnacho should have played straight back to him, but obviously he
Yeah.
he, he held it up and then he got fouled. But
Hmm.
um, and then another that was brilliant from Xerxes. But then there was another occasion, I think it was near the end of the game, where he had to play a simple ball out to the left. It might have been Garnacho, and the ball wasn't good enough. The final ball just didn't cut it, and the attack broke down. So there's times where he can be mesmerizing with some of the things he does, where he gliding past players, and then just that final ball then can let him down.
Yeah.
And then
He's
obviously just
one where I really don't know which way it's going to go, Carl. I think, because obviously I understand the point that a lot of players do come into this league and take a season to settle before we see the true versions of them. So I don't know if it's a case of that, or I can also just as easily see him being moved on in the summer. Um, I'm pretty sure Juventus will be keen because, Thiago Motta's there and he loves him.
yeah. Well, I suppose if Juventus meet the valuation and
Mm,
Amorim is not absolutely desperate to keep him, then you can
hmm.
I can see it happening.
Yeah,
But
because we definitely need a shuffle in the front line. So I think one of them will definitely be moved on.
I think it looks absolutely certain that as things stand that Hoyland's going to be moved on if it's
Yeah,
possible, because he's really really struggling out there. I think at 16
yes,
games without a goal, he's
yeah.
not having any impact on the game
Nope,
whatsoever.
it's passing
Um,
him by. At least with the other one, it's a unique skill set. You can say, yeah. But with Hoyland, that yeah, it's got to be a move abroad as well. I just don't think the Premier League is really the place
and
for him
there
at
was
this
a
moment in
there
time.
was a worrying story from
Mm,
Samuel Luckhurst this morning saying that even the United coaches are losing faith in Rasmus Hoyland, which is pretty
mm.
pretty damning. if that's the case. I didn't 12 months ago. I didn't think he'd be in this position
Yeah.
because he was absolutely flying. Last February before he got injured, but. Now this season he has two Premier League goals. Xerxes has
Uh,
more Premier League goals than him, and he's
yeah,
not even a
yeah.
striker.
I mean, listen, we've obviously thrown him in at the deep end, and we were saying at the time we criticised the deal at the time because of the amount of money spent and the fact that there was no able-bodied, experienced backup or anything, and he was just thrown in at the deep end. And now he's just, he's sinking, and he needs a change.
Yeah, I kind of feel sorry for him out there now,
Yeah.
because you get fans getting on his back a wee bit, and he's if coaches are losing faith in him, he must be having a
Hmm.
pretty miserable time of it at the moment, I would say.
Definitely,
Mm.
definitely. I've heard one or two people say we should loan him out. Obviously, because of that outlay, I don't even know if that's fathomable. They'll probably prefer like a permanent move so that you could bring somebody else in. But we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like it's going to work out for him at Old Trafford as
Mm,
things stand. If ever a guy needed a goal, it's him, but I don't see where it's going to come from. I think it's
yeah,
more likely that Xerxes will score again before Holland scores, to be honest.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then in terms of getting anything back for him, I think the best thing would be if we could try and work out some kind of part exchange deal.
yeah, with Benjamin Sesko, we've talked about that one before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the Sheshko one because I think Leipzig. I think they have a history of developing strikers. I think that would be a good environment for him. But listen, even Sporting Lisbon, if they decide to go after Gyökeres, would they be interested in Hoyland? They've got a Danish midfielder there. If they're friends, I don't know. I'm just putting two and two together and getting 65 at the moment, Carl. But that league, having watched one or two games in that league, apart from the top three teams, the level is, it's lower, and it could be the ideal ground for somebody like him at his age to go and gain his confidence back.
yeah. Was he not on like 85 grand a week? Might be too much for
Yeah,
Sporting. I don't
yeah.
know, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their wage structure is like, but 85 in this day and age, I don't think it's too bad to move on, to be honest. But yeah, you're right. For Portugal, it might be. I don't know.
wouldn't be too much for Leipzig, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because obviously, yeah, being that it's part of the Red Bull group as well, I think they can afford that.
Another striker that I like that nobody really talks about anymore is
Mm.
Vlahovic at Juve, and
Yeah, he's dropped down the pecking order, hasn't he? Because he's completely just on the bench now because they went and loaned Kolo Muani, who was down and out at PSG, but he's been on fire. He's got like 5 goals in 8 games or something, and he's only a couple behind Vlahovic now.
yeah, I noticed that. But Vlahovic scored at the weekend there, I seen,
Yeah.
and he's into double digits this season, even though he's not always first choice. So,
Hmm.
and anytime I've seen him playing in Europe for Juventus, he's always impressed me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind that signing if we could get that done. There's another potential swap that we could do. So there's
Hmm.
many options out there. I know that Liam
Yeah.
Delap has been linked by Laurie Whitwell of the Athletic.
Mm.
He's into double digits now in the Premier League. But to be honest, as I've been impressed by not just the amount of goals that Delap has got in a struggling team, but the actual goals themselves have been some
Yeah, yeah.
quality.
The finishes have been really good, haven't they? I think my only concern would be because does it come with English tax? British players seem to come at a premium markup, but Ipswich do look like they're going to go down, so we'll have to see if that factors into it at all. And also, I think Man City have a buyback as well, so I don't know if that affects things. But yeah, with him though, again, it would be a thing where he would be a welcome addition for me, but he would be a rotational option. If we expect him to just lead the line, I think we're in for disappointment.
Yeah, I think he's he's better than Hoyland. And he's in a much better headspace,
Hmm.
obviously, and he's doing better in the Premier League. But I think the last thing we need to do right now is go sign another young striker.
Yeah,
I think we need an experienced striker
I
badly.
tell you what, that Jonathan David is he's a free agent in the summer. He's going to be hot property. I can potentially see us looking at him. He's what, like
Yeah,
24.
yeah,
He's
but
scoring goals in France.
absolutely. Yeah, he's consistently scored goals over the
Yeah.
last few seasons.
And
for
a deal like that,
Neil.
especially under the new regime, I can definitely see them exploring because it makes sense on the books. The fact that he's free, provided you don't overpay the wages, and if it doesn't work out, you can sell him at profit. You know,
Yeah, there's actually quite a few strikers out there, quite a few options. So it's
yeah.
hard to know who's going to end up at United in the summer,
hmm
but you bet your bottom dollar United will sign a striker.
They have
Um,
to. They absolutely have to. That and wing backs. Also, we could probably do a ten as we could do with a 10 as well if we continue with the way Amram wants to play.
I think, yeah, I think so. And so Bruno Fernandes had another stinker where he comes up with the goods.
Yeah.
He's quite a unique player.
hmm
He's a moments player, and interesting listening to. I'm going to mention him again, Samuel Luckhurst. He did his podcast earlier, which I heard, and he said that in 2018-19, both Liverpool and Manchester City had a look at Bruno Fernandes, but
Yep.
both decided not to sign him because he gives
hmm
the ball away too much,
hmm
and he continues to do that at United. We signed him anyway, of course, and
yes.
he had that explosive start.
Oh, it was an
Um,
incredible start, wasn't it? The stats were stats in. Everyone was happy. It was free flowing football where no discipline was required.
but now you could struggle to find a game, even just this season, and probably
yeah.
the last couple of seasons as well. But let's focus on this season. You struggle to find a game where he has played well and
Mm.
been man of the match.
I think also, Carl. I think the general shift in football has not helped players like Bruno Fernandes. Like any sort of creativity is slowly just being eroded away and ironed out of the game. Everything's so system based now and dull and boring, and people are afraid to give away the ball. So I think that's kind of stifled players as well. That's why we don't really see the conventional 10 anymore,
Mm, yeah,
you know?
but,
So it's not just Pep, it's the people that want to copy Pep as well, the Artetas
y-
of the world. It's all just regimented now. It's all becoming very robotic. You might as well just play a game of FIFA.
yes, but even the penalty controversy where Onana made the initial save and then Ashley Young, dived, and some people say De Ligt impeded him. That all came about by Bruno giving the ball away again.
hmm
So, do you think the trade-off is worth it? Getting the odd moment from Bruno, or
I
in
mean, listen,
exchange for
at this moment in time, we don't have an alternative. So it is what it is. But, going forward in the summer, I think he's at an age now as well where, time's running out for Bruno, if we're being honest. So at some point, we will have to move on.
you? There's a lot of different opinions out there. Some people say that Bruno is a hindrance to United
Mm,
because he's so chaotic and he gives the ball away so much. And then other people say that look at his stats, look at the goals and assists that he gets.
yeah,
Even when he doesn't play well, he produces. He would, he's above United's current level, and he could be playing for a
yeah.
much better team. And
Mm.
he's shown great loyalty to United. So people have a lot of different opinions on Bruno. I think overall he would definitely be remembered fondly whenever he leaves. But
It's
an,
like Marmite, isn't it? Either either you like him or you don't.
an argument can be made that we'd be better off with a player who's going to keep the ball. But then, as you
Yeah.
said, that's really dull and boring.
hmm
Um, but yeah, uh, he it's time and time again, and we've talked about this, it must be like 1,000 times on the show,
hmm
where he just produces an absolutely shambolic performance, and then he just has this moment of magic, which either wins us the game or gets us a draw. It's just
Yeah, even as you were talking about this, I was thinking about this game and I was like, yeah, the moment of magic. But then, like you say, if he's not the one that gives the ball away, well, then there's no need for him to come back and be the hero. It would have been 1-1 instead of 2-2. So, it just depends on the way, the cookie crumbles.
some of his passes. I'm thinking, well, who was he playing that to? What was he trying to
Yeah,
do there?
yeah, yes,
Like,
yeah. I'll be honest, for me, like he irritates me more than he makes me happy.
yeah, I'd go along with that definitely.
Yeah, yeah. But at this moment in time, I don't think we've got any better. and he is one of the better players in this team. So it's one of those. So whenever anybody calls for him to be dropped, like it's like who are we bringing on though? And then when he's missing from the lineup, you really notice a difference and a different quality as well. But yeah, if we were to replace him properly, then like I say, time's running out for him anyway because of his age and stuff. So sooner or later, something's got to give.
I don't think we could let him go unless we had a quality replacement lined up.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, yeah, it's going to be such a big summer for us, Kyle. Especially because all the boys on loan, nothing's concrete. They've not left. They're all coming back. So yeah, a lot is still up in the air, and the kind of rebuild I see happening, I think we are just going to invest in quite young players. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a all out rebuild, I reckon.
Yeah, that's fine, but I would like to get some experienced players in there as well
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely. I think it'll be a similar window to last year. Like, so obviously, you've got the young, like Lenny Euro, which is just potential for the future. But then you've got like a couple of 23-year-olds, a 25-year-old, So there will be a balance, I think. But they need to make the squad younger, is what I'm saying. So anybody sort of 30 and above, I think they'll try and get rid of.
yeah, but I think if we finish, in the bottom half of the Premier League, I don't think we're going to be able to sign the type of player that can replace Bruno Fernandes. So I think we'll have to keep
Yeah,
him for another
yeah,
season.
probably. Yeah, I can see that as well. Yeah, and he's one of the more experienced ones, isn't he? So yeah, yeah, I can potentially see him for another season, but then you'll have to move him on, wouldn't you? Because the only thing that would slow that down from happening this summer, I think, is the fact that there's other fires that need putting out, other people that need to be moved on. Casemiro mainly.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a challenge getting rid of Casemiro
Hmm.
because he's made it known in an interview, I think, with a
He's quite happy to stay. I mean, I would be too, Cass, on 350 a week, mate. But I think also, do you think it's partly PR as well? Because he's hardly likely to come out and say he's what's not happy or he wants to leave.
yeah, but he said his family's very settled
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Manchester or Cheshire or
yeah,
wherever he lives. So
yeah, yeah.
uh, his kids are happy there, and he doesn't want
Hmm.
to leave. So Ericsson said the same thing, and that he's
Yeah,
going to stay out his contract. So yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
that's
Ericsson's on 150 a week. His contract's up. Lindy's on about 120, I think. His contract's up. So there's going to be a lot of wages freed up as well, just in the summer with contracts expiring.
and even when Casemiro doesn't play, he's bellowing out instructions from the
Yeah.
sideline when he's warming up, and so and you see him when Ahmad scored the winner at the Etihad. You seen
Hmm.
Casemiro in his tracksuit celebrating with the players. So it's not
Yeah.
as if he doesn't look like someone who's unhappy with being a bit part
Yeah.
player.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. He gives everything, doesn't he? Which it's the least you can do, really. But yeah, it is going to be very difficult to shift those wages. But that's something that we have to look at in the summer.
So I'm just gonna take a quick rundown of player rating. So Onana,
Hmm.
I'm yeah, I'm sorry, it has to be a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really, really poor. Um, I thought Maguire and Delict weren't great on the day, if I'm being honest,
Hmm.
and they would get 5s out of 10. Um, Mazarahi has picked up an injury, so he's touch and go for the Ipswich game. Um,
That's irritating. And with Maguire as well, like he turned it around, but we're starting to see little signs in it with Maguire where he slips into old habits. It's annoying.
yeah, definitely. So Mazarahi, I think he have he was involved in the head tennis that led to Beto's goal as well. So
Yeah.
I'll have to mark him down to a 5. As um, typical Dallo performance. Don't
Hmm.
think okay. He didn't make a really obvious blunder that led to a goal. I don't think, but yeah, he's not really offering much going forward, to be honest. And yeah, to me, he's just a very average player, and yeah, he's not had a great season at all. And yeah, defensively, he doesn't get close enough, as we always say. So it'd be a 5 for Dallo. Manuel Ugarte, yeah, I'll have to give him a 7 for that sensational goal.
Yeah.
Um, Casemiro. that United looked better when he came off. So that's not a ringing
Mm.
endorsement.
Hmm.
Um, it's a it was unusual lineup from Amorim where Ugarte and Casemiro playing together. Was that because he was fearful of conceding goals against Everton? It it didn't work because we did exactly that, even with them in front of the back three. So Casemiro would get a 4. Patrick Dorgu, probably United's best player, most consistent player on the day. That's a good way of putting it. I would skip. So we'll give him a 6. Joshua Xerxes came alive whenever Bruno scored the free kick. Yeah, I don't think he was particularly good before that, but um, so I'll give him a 6. Rasmus Højlund, totally anonymous again. I would get a 2 out of 10. And Bruno Fernandez, yeah, another typical Bruno performance. How many times have we said it? Where he has a stinker and then produces a moment of magic. So I'll give him a 7 for that. And actually, if he hadn't have scored, Bruno,
Yeah.
it would have been a 3 to be honest. But
Hmm.
that is just him all over.
Oh, and we got to see Cheeto as well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, he didn't do like he didn't do anything wrong, but I
Yeah.
don't think it didn't. It didn't have a shot on goal. I
No,
don't
no
think.
shots. Yeah, no shots. No shots. So
He
you can
he
maybe
played
judge him
a
on the hold up play, but
he played a good ball out to Garnacho, I think it was.
yeah.
Um, it was perfectly weighted and it was in front of the player.
Hmm.
So
I'll tell you what, the
I
fans can have no complaints this week. He got a good 20 minutes this week.
think we're going to continue to see more of him. The more Hoyland struggles, the more we're going to see of Cheeto. I think there's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. Because I know a lot of people were up in arms last week, and I might have been one of them ever so slightly. Because I thought he could have done with 10 instead of 3 minutes. But I'm sure at his age, he's just happy to be out there, innit? So I didn't think too much into it. So yeah, it would
yeah.
only have concerned me had he been getting these kind of 2-3 minutes consistently, and that's not the case. So people just threw their toys out the pram way too prematurely
Yeah, when Federico Makeda scored those important goals for United,
against Villa. Yeah, yeah.
Fergie against Villa, Sunderland, I think it was, and then it was Villa, Chelsea. You know, he didn't score those chances by Fergie giving him 3 minutes in stoppage time.
Hmm.
He was brought on with like 20 minutes to go. You have to give a
Yeah,
player a
yeah.
chance. Against Tottenham, yeah, we know the bench was full of youngsters apart from Lindelof, and the only sub he
Hmm.
made in the entire game was in the 90th minute when he brought Cheetah on. Didn't
Yeah.
really give him a chance to have an impact, and that frustrated so much of the fan
Mm.
base.
Hmm.
But he got 20 minutes plus stoppage time against Everton, and I think we'll see more of him. I just have this feeling that whether it be in the Europa League or the league or both, he's going to score an important goal at some point this season. I
Yeah.
feel it is going
I
to,
hope it's in Europa.
yeah.
The league is pretty much a write off this season, isn't it? We're just trying to, test things out and see how it goes, really.
So Ruben Amorim, who continually looks dejected on the sideline, he paces up and down, and then he's on his hunkers, and his interviews get more and more, concerning with the stuff that he says. And I think he even said during the post-match interview with TNT that if he knew what to do to make his team more consistent, he would do it, but he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's an alarming quote. So yeah, and
I mean,
he, he
he can only work with what. Do you know what? He's honest to a fault, isn't he? I
yeah,
think that's what it is.
yeah, he's almost too honest. Yeah, so here's the quotes that really stood out for me. He says, "I don't know what I need to do to bring more consistency. If I knew, I would change it." And then he also said, "We need to survive this season, and
Yeah,
then to think ahead. We have so many problems."
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
I
hard
mean,
to
he's
believe
not
him.
wrong. He's not wrong.
I suppose United have only had 4 league wins since he took charge, which is absolutely abysmal. But in terms of what he's saying, is good because previously under Ten Hag and even Solskjaer and other
Yeah.
managers, they're telling you that United are playing well when they're
Hmm.
not, and that
Yeah,
really bugs
exactly.
me.
So for me personally, I think it's quite refreshing. And also some of these quotes and stuff, it's because he's being pressed by the media. So he just some of these things he reiterates because he's been pressed on it. Yeah, I haven't really had too much of an issue with it, to be honest. Obviously, there's some in-game things that that you can criticize and whatnot, but we do that with every manager. You're never going to be 100% happy with all the subs and what they're thinking. But yeah, I can't really judge this man until the summer at the very least. Honestly, I can't really judge him till the end of next season.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, subs had a positive impact, so I'll give him a 6 out of 10 because we rescued the result against
Hmm.
Everton. But we have the small matter of a 6 pointer against Ipswich on
Yep.
Wednesday evening at Old
Yep.
Trafford. We notoriously struggle at home, and Kieran McKenna was on the shortlist apparently to replace Ten Hag, so we'll have a
Hmm.
point to prove. He's a well-respected coach under Solskjaer at United. So they had a really poor result there against Tottenham at the weekend. So,
Yeah, they did. Back-to-back promotions as well, isn't it, for them? So yeah, he's done a brilliant job there.
but it does look like they are going to go down. It looks like
Hmm.
all the promoted teams are going to go down again for the second season in a row.
Yeah, but that's totally understandable given the gulf in spending power and stuff. Like, yeah, the teams that are going down are definitely the ones that can't keep up with the rest by way of spending.
But what's important to me is that if we manage to get a win against Ipswich, and I don't care how we do it, I don't care if it's 1-0 or 5-0, just as long as we get over the line. If we manage to do that, we will create a 16-point gap between ourselves and the bottom three, which is what I
Yeah, yeah.
want.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, looking at it, yeah, because I was looking through the fixture list, and the only two that I really need us to win are Ipswich and Leicester.
And surely we will
And
beat
surely,
Leicester.
and surely, yeah. And then the rest of it, it's up in the air. It can go any which way.
Leicester were thumped by Brentford at home, weren't they, at the
Hmm.
weekend? 4-0, I
Yep.
think it was. And they're
Yep.
being
Yep.
booed by their own fans. So,
Yeah. Absolutely torn apart. But then again, when we look back to the cup game, I mean, we were incredibly fortunate to overcome them.
yeah, we were shambles that night again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. And it
the
was an
reason
offside goal that got us through as well, and saved us from extra time. So we'll have
mm,
to see. We'll have to see
the,
how that.
the reason why I'm thinking we can get 3 points away at Leicester is because it's an away game. This
Yeah,
is where we get.
yeah, Old Trafford seems to be cursed this season.
Yeah, it's just this is that's what worries me about the Ipswich game because it's
Yeah.
at home.
Hmm.
Uh, of course, Ipswich was Amarim's very first game in charge of United at Portman Road, which was a 1-8 draw. So hopefully we can improve on that result and take advantage of Ipswich's confidence, which is probably pretty low at the moment,
Hmm.
and win that game by hook or by crook. I don't care if it's a 1-0 win where somebody scores an own goal, just as long as we get over the line. That's all that matters to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all that matters really. And then we've got Europa to look forward to. I say look forward to. I'm dreading Sociedad.
Yeah, we'll give it a wee second. And yet, Neil Central says, got to be winning this game on Wednesday. No excuses can be made. And even when we win, it's so unconvincing. Yeah, absolutely right. Anytime we get a positive result, it's so unconvincing. It feels like it was lucky that it was a moment of quality that got us there. We have when's the last time we had a good performance from beginning to the start of from the start to the end of a game? I can't remember
Apologies,
a time.
I hit the wrong button there. It just kicked me out of the studio.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, can you remember the last time, Bruce, that we actually put in a really good performance and deserved to win the game? Can
Ah, jeez.
can you think of a time? Um,
Maybe Everton at Old Trafford, the 4-0. Thought that was decent. But
yeah, but I think
even then, I think maybe
even the
maybe the scoreline was a bit flattering.
and I think even Amorim said that himself that the scoreline
Yeah,
was a bit
yeah.
flattering to United.
Hmm.
That yeah, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to pick out games in which we have dominated and won deservedly. But
Yeah,
like
honestly, I'm not expecting any of that till next season at the very earliest.
yeah, as United Central says, even when we win, it's unconvincing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not convincing at all, is it? It's just just by hope. Yeah, you have to give it the summer. You have to give it the summer window. Give him a chance to put his imprint on the team, and then see what happens. And even then, I don't think it's an easy fix. I don't think it's something that we can miraculously fix in one summer. It's going to take time.
Yeah, he's going to need a few transfer windows
Yeah,
to build his team. There's only so much we can do in one window, and especially when we do very little in January windows as
very
well.
little. I mean, literally, he's been given one player, and he's a 20-year-old. you know.
Yeah, and arguably our squad is actually weaker with Rashford and Anthony going out, and
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, absolutely. Like on paper, at least. And then I'll tell you what. I mean, they both made a splash as well. Rashi got 2 assists over the weekend. Well, Anthony, bit opposite this week, he got sent off in his game.
yeah, I think he's still got an amazing assist in that game.
Yeah, yeah, but it was a straight red as well. That it was like it was an atrocious challenge, and now he misses the game against Real Madrid,
Yeah,
which is a
a vote.
shame because that would have been, a good stage for him to show what he can do.
Yeah, I'm more than happy for the two of them to do well because
Yeah, yeah,
that will add to our transfer kitty in the summer. We can.
absolutely. It's in our interest if they do well. So
So I wanted to come on to you about the stuff that we hate to talk about,
mm,
and that is that there's further cuts being announced today. So potentially another 150 to 200 redundancies in addition to the 250 that's already happened.
wow.
This the staff canteen at Old Trafford, which is usually opens from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., is expected to be shut down at the end of the week. The canteen served free hot meals and tea and coffee instead of lunch. Fruit will now be available for free for those working at the stadium. So, and they're
Mm,
hoping to save 1 million by doing that. So, United are now apparently another one that I read was that all the staff, apart from the players, and this includes the coaching staff, will only be entitled to soup and sandwiches at lunchtime. But now
mm,
this further report now says that it's only many apples and oranges are going to be available now to non-playing staff. These cutbacks are draconian, aren't they? And
yeah.
they're not they're not the fault of the people that are being made redundant or the people that are being made to bring their own lunch. This is firmly on the Glazers, and 1958 or the fan group that have been organising protests. I think they're now trying to convince fans to boycott the Arsenal game. Basically, they're hoping for the stadium to be at least half empty for that game.
Hmm.
To protest against Radcliffe and the Glazers. So this 1958 say here on Twitter, just a reminder that the club paid 33 million in interest payments on the Glazers' bad debt. This year. No mention of that in their transformation plan, which the club announced this afternoon. That was they're calling it the transformation plan. Basically, it's trying to dress up the redundancies uh, and the cutbacks. Everyone knows why a great club is in dire straits, and it isn't because of the canteen or Joyce the cleaner. Once again, turning a blind eye to the root cause of everything and treating us like we are thick. See you all on March the 9th. Your debt, not ours, the 1958. So what the Glazers have done the last 20 years is coming home to roost. Look at the finances are absolutely horrible. We still owe 300 million in transfer fees to other clubs. You know, um, the amount that the Glazers have taken out of the club is well over 1 billion now. We're
Hmm.
paying 33 million worth of interest now. Apparently, the interest payments are going to go up to 50 million next year. So
Yeah. And Kyle, the way that the debt is structured as well, it's a thing where we can't, even if you wanted to, you can't really pay off big chunks. Because if you did, you'd still have to pay on top of that because obviously this benefits the bank, right? The amount of interest they're getting. So if you did want to pay off a big chunk, then that comes with other additional costs as well to make up for what they would have earned via interest. So it's really bad. So there's no easy fixes to this. We've pretty much operating now like a club that's gone into administration. When you get auditors coming in and then they go through everything with a fine tooth comb and cut back on everything. That's pretty much what we're doing. You'll remember with Leeds under Peter Ridsdale when they went under. Auditors went in there and they shifted everything. I mean, listen, they they came to the conclusion that they were spending too much on their fish tank and took that away. You know what I mean? It's one of those. But they're doing something similar here. I
Yeah,
just hope that with us, it's with a view to slowly build these things back up eventually. But they're stripping down everything.
yeah, they are, but is this financially sustainable? At some point, United not going to go bust, because you know our revenue streams seem to be drying up, and the debt
Obviously, the
seems to
next
be.
round of sponsorship deals and things is a concern if we do poorly and finish outside the European places. So there's things like that that will have a knock-on effect. Um, but yeah, we'll have to just wait and see how they plan to address that.
you know if we're going if uh, you know I don't see how, with these, making so many cutbacks, with the debt just lingering over the club, and the interest payments seem to be increasing. This project 2028, let's win. They want to win the 21st title.
Oh, I take that with a pinch of salt, to be honest. I think that's they're living in La La Land. Yeah.
The
Even
way,
with a few great windows, it's going to take time. That's 3 years away. Like, there's no way we are going to turn into title uh, winners or even challengers in just 3 years. I don't see it at this stage.
the way the club is now being run, if this is
Yeah.
what it's going to look like in the coming
Mm.
years, we're not going to be anything better than a top half team.
Yeah, yeah. Unless they strike it really lucky in their recruitment, you'd have to go find a diamond in the rough that just turns into a world beater.
We're not on United's recruitment now, are we? We're in big trouble.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So yeah, I mean, for me, I can't even believe some of the fan base are already hammer him out. So I just hope that the board are a bit more patient because if that's how we operate, then I've got no hope at all, mate.
It has nothing to do with him at all.
Yeah.
In fact, if, which I hope it doesn't happen, if Amorim was to be blamed and sacked, he would go
Mm.
elsewhere and do really well.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And I understand some people are saying, "Oh, um, he needs to learn to adapt. He needs to change the formation to work with what he's got now." But then we've seen that in the past, where
yeah,
people have come in with their ideas and they've given up on their ideas and they reverted back to the usual. And then they go, "Oh, these players will get all the managers sacked." So it's just a consistent cycle of nonsense. At least with this man, he's got his own idea and principles and he's sticking to it, even when it gets difficult.
yes, I get that, but I didn't think that we would lose so many games. Uh,
Yeah, but I mean, what did they expect? I mean, surely this would have all come out during the interview process where he broke down his plan and what he plans to do. And the fact that he's so adamant on it and not willing to, change.
and given that, every million counts. By the way, every position you go up in the league, you get a further £3 million. So
Hmm.
15th, like we finished 8th last season. If we finish 15th, we're going to lose out on a whole lot of more revenue there again. So yeah, we really need to be getting wins on the board and finishing as high as possible, because that again gives us more revenue for the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Unless they
understand.
put all their eggs into the European basket. But again, there's, the way we're playing, it's anyone's guess how far we can get in the competition.
After this Ipswich game, it's a massive week in our season, because we've got
Yeah.
the FA Cup match
Hmm.
against Fulham at Old Trafford. I wish that was away, to be honest.
Hmm.
But given our form at Old Trafford, and then we got two legs against Real Sociedad, and
Yeah.
I don't know what they expect there. With it's so devastating, isn't it, to have a mad out for the season?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
no, he was a real bright spark, especially under Amarim. So yeah, to have him out is big, big blow this season.
the good thing is that, you know if we want to be positive about it, Real Sociedad were conceding goals to FC Midtjylland.
Hmm.
That tells me that we can, but then again, we don't score
We
any goals.
concede goals as well. That's the concern. They got this one player,
You know,
Bryce Mendes. I'm worried about him. Um,
but they're 11th in La Liga. Last time I
yeah,
looked, they're struggling
I'll
in
tell
the
you what,
league.
the big club there, Bilbao, are in the competition and they're fourth in the league.
Yeah, so if we're not good enough to beat Real Sociedad, then
Yeah,
then we don't deserve to win the Europa League anyway.
Hmm.
So uh, hopefully we can overcome them and then
Yeah.
get to the next round. But no doubt, even if we get through, United will make hard work of it.
Hmm.
But they are nothing to write home about, and
Yeah.
if
Absolutely.
if this was a United team that were in the top six in the Premier League, I would fancy us to get through it. But because we
Yeah.
are so shite,
Hmm.
I'm not sure. But
Same. Yeah, it's one of those. Um, but yeah, I was thinking about it though, right? Because obviously, people were saying, "Oh, ideally, in hindsight, Abram should have come in the summer," and I get that. And they say, should have kept Rude. But then, even with Rude, realistically, how high up in the league do you think we would be? Like, honestly, I can't see us being more than like maybe ninth, 10th, looking at the table and the points total. So ultimately, like, is it that much of a change? Like, we just got ahead of it by getting the manager in that we want long term. Obviously there's teething issues, but better that we get these issues out of the way now, um, so that in the summer he knows exactly what it is that we need. So I think we just need to give it a bit of time.
yeah, I just hope that the board don't run out of patience and blame another manager. Um, but Omar Barada has to stick with Amorim because he's his pick. So if if Amorim's deemed not good enough, then also Barada has to take some of the blame. So
Mhm.
if, surely he wants his man to work, so he should give him a chance to do so.
For
Um,
me, I don't even understand how you can make a decision on Amarim without giving him like a full season at least. You know?
yeah, I agree, but with every defeat, the likelihood
Mm.
of him being blamed just increases that wee bit more. But so United
And then
Central
this
here
is the other
says,
thing as well, Carl. If we start recruiting now for this manager, yeah, and then you sack him, so then what happens? So then, do you just look for managers play the same system?
yeah, if you're going to start investing in wing backs rather than wingers,
Yeah, yeah,
you need to stick with this
exactly.
manager.
Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, yeah. So then, if you sack him, if you at any point, if you want to sack him, does that mean what you target what Xabi Alonso, Inzaghi? Because you need to play then with five at the back, don't you? With wing backs.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to be another rebuild.
Otherwise, it's
Uh,
another rebuild. Yeah. So they need to decide what the philosophy is, how the club wants to go forward.
so United Central here says, I think we will take a couple of summer windows to sort this, as
Hmm.
we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
We need more Dargu type signings as he's been classed in signing. Yeah, but as I said, we need more experience as well. I feel there's nothing
A
wrong
bit
with it.
more experience. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bringing in a Cavani, maybe someone a wee bit younger than that, but
Yeah, and
as I
I'm sure
say,
you've mentioned it. I'm sure I've mentioned it on here as well. The class of '92, everyone talks about. A lot of kids coming in at the same time, but those kids had experienced heads to keep them focused and to help guide them. The likes of the Cantonas and Keens.
yeah, yeah, and apparently Amorim is a big fan of Victor Osimhen. If we could,
Mm.
that would be an experience
Now that
signing
that would be a coup. Yeah.
that we would all welcome.
Hmm.
Yeah, just on that though, I think tonight is the derby between Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, and
Oh,
I think I mentioned to you before that Fenerbahce have long been of the belief that referees favour Galatasaray.
yeah,
So
yeah,
guess what's happening tonight? The Slovenian referee who refereed the Champions League final is flying
yeah.
over to Turkey to take charge of this game.
Wow, wow. Yeah, what an atmosphere. What time does that kick off? Is that kicked off now? It probably has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it probably has. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Um.
I'll have to switch
Yeah.
over. Have
So
a keep an eye on that.
Galatasaray weren't in favour of this, but Mourinho is very
Yeah.
happy for the
Yeah,
foreign
yeah.
referee to come in.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
just shows you that the Premier League can do this too.
yeah.
We've
Definitely.
complained a lot about English referees and how poor they are, this particular
Yes.
generation of them.
Yes.
If
I
England wanted to get foreign
yeah.
referees, they can.
And also, if you want to improve the refereeing in England, send our guys abroad.
Yeah, yeah,
Let them go experience other leagues as well. Let them. Yeah. I think that would be good for them.
mm, yeah, definitely. I think it might be a hopeless case, but yeah, I'm sure that's worth a try. But yeah, for me, I would love to see. When I watch the Champions League and you see a
Yeah.
Polish ref, a German ref, Italian,
Yep.
French, Slovenian, these guys always impress me when I watch them in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Just would love to see them in the Premier League. Um,
They're just
but
very stern and decisive, aren't they?
yeah, and for me, VAR in England is not about getting to the right decision. It's about finding a reason to stick to the on-field decision
Hmm.
more often than not. Whereas I feel in Europe, if the referee has made a mistake on the field, the VAR is there to correct him.
It's
But
like they don't really take it so personal if they get the decision wrong. Whereas in England, it's slightly different.
yeah, they're
They want to be proved right, don't they?
yeah, and they want to protect their mates and all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
frustrating. So we've rambled on for an hour and five, so we'll wrap it up there. If everyone could please like the video, subscribe to the podcast, and get more of your thoughts in, get more of your comments into Spotify or YouTube, and I reply to as many of those as possible. And thank you for all the the downloads and the watches and the listens, and I appreciate all the people who tune into this podcast as always. And apologize for not doing a show last week, but we were played
I was,
deflated after the World
I
Cup.
was utterly dejected last week, guys.
I think we skipped a week during Christmas because it was that bad as well. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can
You
understand
know,
that.
because sometimes you just get into that cycle of, do you know what? I've got nothing new to say. Like
Yeah, and
that's how I felt last week. I was like, if we did a pod last week, I would have just been like, the last week's one. Yeah, just go watch that if you want my views on United. It's pretty much the same.
the Talk of the Devils podcast, which is
Hmm.
quite popular. With Andy Mitten is on it there with Roy Whitwell and a few others. Some of the comments that they've got recent times is, "How do you lads keep churning out 3 podcasts a week? How do you do it
Yeah,
talking about this team?"
yeah.
You know,
It's insane, isn't it? Like sometimes, it just gets you down. There's nothing new to add, really.
no, but thankfully we had a couple of goals to talk about this week, so
Yeah,
that made a welcome change. So
yeah. And big up to
I
all you guys in the comments as well. Eddie, United Central, Ryan. It's much appreciated.
yes, definitely. So I'll see you all again next week.
Yep. Take care.